Oh, wow, that just cut off. That's cool.
Sorry.
Good morning. Senator Joe Griffo is standing by the line right now. Good morning, Joe. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good. So, we're on TV, Joe. Even though you're not in studio, we're back on WFXV, Fox.
That's great. Does that
33.
mean you put a big picture of me that you photoshopped and everything so
We do.
everybody can see? Is that how that works now?
We do. I don't know. You
see if
look
I can
muscular
get
in this little picture thing we have of you here. Yeah.
I wouldn't leave it up to you. I'd let Andrew or Christine or Jeff do that, though.
Okay, good. Well, you're probably better off that way. All right, Joe, what are we talking about here? This is unfunded mandates. We're talking about issues with, is it district attorney salaries? What's this bill you're co-sponsoring?
Well, there are a number of things. We continually put forth legislation to be sensitive to the cost of mandates on local governments and school districts. I've got legislation. We passed something similar yesterday in the Senate from Senator Funke, because I think we need to be serious and not just talk the talk, but actually take action in proposing legislation that would be cognizant and sensitive to the mandates. In this particular instance, there's two bills as a result of the budget process, because the Commission on Compensation has made a determination from the judiciary, and I understand they do this in an objective manner, so they evaluate things, salaries and statistics, things of that nature. They recommended an increase in salaries for all the state judges. As a result of that, from the state judicial law, the DAs need to be comparable to the county court or Supreme Court judges. So in this year's budget, it doesn't include any funding for that. It's going to cost counties about an additional, $1.6 million across the state of New York, and I just think that's unacceptable, because many of these counties have their budgets in place already. They went into a calendar year, January to December, so now you're imposing this on these counties, as well as indigent services, which is really the public defender's office, if you look at it that way. 5 counties sued the state of New York, saying that they were unable to provide the level of indigent legal services that was necessary to defend the individuals who have the right to an attorney. Those 5 were successful in court. So the point we're making is, so the state now is covering those costs from the state office of indigent services. And as a result, now all the remainders of these counties don't have the same treatment. And I think that's ridiculous. If you're going to say that, recognize and identify a problem in the system and say that the state has to fulfill that responsibility in the 5 counties that sued, I think it's Suffolk, Washington, Ontario, Onondaga, which is a big county, in Schuyler, and put that burden under the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services. Well, the same should hold true for Oneida, Lewis, and St. Lawrence counties.
And I think the question is, how much more can you ask? Because when it gets passed down to the county, it's almost always going to end up meaning higher property taxes.
Well, these are unnecessary burdens, and we recognize that you have a constitutional right to an attorney, but the counties are struggling to balance their budgets, and they have limitations on funds available, particularly when you look at in the legal defense or the poorest of criminal defendants. So there's a lot of implications here, not only financially, but on fairness of the criminal justice system. Yeah. So these bills are necessary, in my opinion, to correct something that's ridiculous, and it should have been resolved in the budget. So if the commission is going to make the requirement, for instance, on the salaries, then we should reflect that in the budget, and we did not. And then secondly, on the office of the state office of indigent services, it's indigent legal services. Well, that's the most obscene and ridiculous right now, because if in 5 counties you can say it should be done this way, then why shouldn't the remainder of the counties be treated the same? Yeah. Just because they took legal action and the other counties didn't, that's ridiculous.
I want to switch to politics just for a quick second, and that is we noticed that Senator Seward now has an opponent, a Democrat. There is your majority is quite creative in the Senate, but if you were to lose that in the coalition, ultimately losing the majority in the Senate, what would that mean for upstate? I think people need to understand some of these bills that come out of New York City that upstate senators and Republican senators have to block. It would shock people.
The biggest point, I think, to make there, Bill, you're right. There are a number of pieces of legislation, and people are entitled to their opinions and ideas. Obviously, I respect that in our process. There will be philosophical and political differences. Concern I have, though, is I think it's unhealthy from a political perspective, a governance perspective. You need a balance in the state of New York. You need checks and balance, but you also need regional and political balance. And the last time we saw something like this, you had a monolithic type of government where you had it becomes New York City centric, one-party rule. And I think that is not in the best interest of the upstate voters. You just saw that yesterday. The courts, there's a lawsuit on, and this is going to affect a lot of the farms potentially here, a farm labor bill, and there was a lawsuit initiated, and yesterday the governor weighed in to basically said he wasn't going to try to protect, from a state perspective. It's going to be interesting to see if the attorney general stays on the sides of the farmers who are, because there's a component of state law that they would have to uphold. So that they choose not to do that, that would be very difficult, and you're going to really put a significant burden on farmers across the state. And we have in the past said this is wrong to try to force this issue. So whether it's agriculture, where I don't think there's enough sensitivity and recognition of the importance of what it means, whether it's other things that we hold dear in upstate New York, I think this is something we need to be aware of. And you're right, as you look at this, and we will let people see the difference of ideas, this is what it would be like. And the last time they had that opportunity, we saw $14 billion in new taxes and all kinds of new spending, and we've been trying to undo that over the last 6 years. One of them is I'm speaking to an energy conference today. There was a tax put on all of us as energy consumers, which really we've been easing out of, just like the GEA. The GEA was put on when that happened. The last time there was one-party control and New York City domination. And right now, most of our statewide elected officials are off from the city.
All right, listen, if the Republicans lose control of the Senate, microstamping will become a reality in New York. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
No, absolutely. In fact, we had a bill just recently that we defeated by one vote in the Codes Committee, which I sit on, which is where all the legislation goes for the criminal law, procedure law, and it would basically have required everybody to have some type of device where you are I'm trying to think of the proper terminology here. You'd have to store your gun in a particular way and manner. And I think that's ridiculous. Again, yes, we're for gun safety, but on the other hand, to tell somebody, here's what you're going to need and here's what you have to do. So we defeated that by one vote. And that shows you, like you said, whether it's microstamping or these type of requirements that would be placed upon people, in my opinion, to infringe upon their individual rights, is a type of differences in philosophy, and that kind of reflects what would happen if you had. And I love the city. I don't have any problem. I think we're one state, and we need to figure out how to balance things, but I don't believe it's healthy from a political or a regional or an economics perspective to have one-party control and one region domination.
Okay, last point I want to make to you, and I know that when we were in New York City, you were very picky about your food, and and by the way, the guy's dirty gloves.
I understand we're running into you that you have some very exquisite taste, though.
Well, listen, I want to say this. Today is Eat What You Want Day, Joe. It's National Eat What You Want Day. It's a cheat day. So you can eat whatever you want today.
But I thought we were going to do this healthy, nutritional lifestyle, too.
I'm on it. 1 hour I'm healthy, the next hour I'm not. That's my problem.
On Monday, you said, I'm starting a strict, hardcore...
I am, and I have.
Thanks for the chocolate milkshake.
You had a chocolate milkshake.
That was a problem.
2 days later, it's Eat Whatever You Want Day.
Well, it's not Eat Whatever I Want Day. I'm just trying to give everybody the pass. Today's the national day. So,
Jeff, now I understand why he likes seafood.
Yeah, what I see is what I eat. Okay, Joe, thanks. We appreciate it. Good luck out there, okay?
Take care. See you later.
Senator Joe Griffo. Come right back. There's a big event coming up for veterans, and we like to promote that, and we'll do that coming up. Also, the Buffalo Bills have made an announcement, and it looks like they're going to be retiring Bruce Smith's number, and it was leaked out here this morning and then pulled back. I just saw the tweet. They tweeted it out, and then the tweet disappeared. So
I'm glad we're not acknowledging it.
It's early. I won't say a word.
Okay.
But I think that's what the announcement's going to be. Andrea Jones, Dana Finch standing by. We're going to talk about this veterans event coming up next on WIBX.